"I need help with this integral," wrote the user Lila Podlesny on November 11, 2013 on mathstack.exchange, a Q&A forum for mathematics. Now, this integral is a monster, and Lila is looking for a closed-form solution. She provides a few additional details and writes that even powerful mathematical programs such as Mathematica or Maple couldn't solve it. Just under 5 hours later, which for an integral like this is pretty much instantly, an anonymous user named Cleo provided a solution, without any explanation whatsoever. Nothing except a link at the letter phi, which indicates that this is the golden ratio, which is absolutely bizarre. Although people talk a lot about the golden ratio, it hardly ever appears in mathematics. 2 days and 2 attempts later, which is still extremely fast, the physicist Ron Gordon posted a complete proof confirming the correctness of Cleo's solution. In case you can't read it, the proof looks like this, and it's already heavily summarized. This conversation went viral and caused mixed feelings about Cleo among the math community. But that was just the beginning. Over the next 2 years, Cleo solved one complex integral after another in absurdly short amounts of time, but never providing an explanation or proof. The community went wild. Some celebrated Cleo, others despised her. On December 31st, 2015, Cleo eventually posted her last answer and disappeared forever. But the mystery surrounding her remained. Many theories circulated about Cleo. Some people were convinced that Cleo was a genius, maybe someone unknown with extraordinary abilities often compared to those of the Indian mathematician Ramanujan. He was able to intuitively recognize complex mathematical relationships and develop solutions without the usual formal methods or proofs. Others suspected that Cleo was actually a well-known genius, such as mathematician Terence Tao or other famous ones. Terence himself, however, denied being Cleo. Maybe Cleo was just a troll, someone who may have worked out the solutions themselves and deliberately answered their own questions in a mysterious way just to rage bait. Or perhaps an entire network of trolls was involved. Some also speculated that Cleo was a high-performance AI, although this one is highly unlikely as we are talking about the year 2013. In addition to these theories, there were many others, from a kind of integral competition between a professor and her students to some form of Soviet espionage. However, there was no evidence to support any of these. Then, after a decade of speculating, the Reddit user Energy Sensitive kicked off a targeted investigation. They studied the usage patterns of people who interacted with the Cleo account and shared their findings on Reddit. This post then motivated a user named Evil Scientist to set up an entire investigation website and compile a lot of data to help determine Cleo's identity. For example, he used the Wayback Machine, which is a kind of digital archive of the internet that stores snapshots of billions of websites, to track how Cleo's public profile evolved over time. The profile picture appears to have been created by herself, since reverse image searching it yielded no results. For her first bio, she added a quote from Gauss and one from Ramanujan, which is very interesting. She also wrote, "Remember, you are not locked into a single axiom system. You may invent your own whenever you wish. Just use your intuition and imagination." These appear to be her own thoughts. And finally, "Do not take my posts and comments too seriously," followed by this smiley, which of course worked out perfectly. The next day, she removed the last sentence, and 10 months later, she changed her bio to, "Do you like my answers? If you wish, you can send me some bitcoins as a token of your appreciation. Thank you," followed by the corresponding wallet address. And in February 2015, she changed her bio for the last time. "My real name is Cleo, I'm female. I have a medical condition that makes it very difficult for me to engage in conversations or post long answers. Sorry for that. I like math and do my best to be useful at this site, although I realize my answers might not be useful for everyone." Here it becomes apparent that Cleo saw some negative feedback and she felt the need to justify herself and apologize. But is she telling the truth? Now, Evil Scientist has compiled many more details about Cleo's account. But like Energy Sensitive before him, he has also examined the usage behavior of users who interacted with Cleo and plotted the data. The y-axis shows the users in question and the x-axis represents time. A red data point means that the respective user asked a question at the respective time, and the blue point indicates an answer. Cleo's dataset can be found here. She was active from 2013 to the end of 2015, and with the exception of 2 questions at the very beginning, she only answered questions. All users with a similar usage pattern during this period are of interest, especially those who also interacted frequently with Cleo. This results in a handful of users who appear to be connected to Cleo. For this reason, Evil Scientist concludes that Cleo is presumably not acting alone. Although these are all good indications, there is still no proof. But then came the breakthrough. In January 2025, Joe McCann published a great YouTube video on the Cleo topic and reported on Evil Scientist's investigations. An anonymous viewer named Salt watched this video and, using a simple and clever tactic, provided the crucial piece of the puzzle that exposed Cleo. Salt took a closer look at those suspicious users. One of them was Lila. Remember her? She was the one who asked the question in the viral post. Her public profile only contained an email address, but that was enough. Please don't do this to anyone other than yourself. Salt started the I forgot my password process for this email and was able to take a look at the registered recovery email. Although only a few letters were visible for security reasons, this string was enough to match it with the email address of another user of interest, Vladimir Reshetnikov. As it turned out, an actual male mathematician from Uzbekistan. So Joe McCann then contacted Vladimir and presented the evidence linking him to Cleo. Truly impressed by the effort that had gone into the investigation, Vladimir finally confessed. He was behind Cleo. And in addition to the Lila account, he was also behind the users Oleg K and Oksana Gimel, the one from Cleo's last post. These users were also among the top suspects. Joe also published a detailed follow-up video about the confession, which I highly recommend watching. So is Vladimir a troll? Well, we don't know his motive yet. See, 1 month before Cleo solved her first integral, Vladimir posted, "My hobby is to search for closed forms of integrals that cannot be evaluated by modern computer algebra software like Maple or Mathematica." After providing some more details, he continued, "I'm asking for your advice. What is the best way to post my conjectures without saying too much words for introductions, but to attract people's attention and make the problem interesting for them?" See, the problem Vladimir had at the time was that, although he could more or less derive a solution to a complex integral with the help of software and techniques such as numerical fitting or simply lucky guessing, he didn't really know how to prove his conjecture. And because hunting for closed forms of hardcore integrals isn't exactly a widespread hobby, his questions received little attention. And so he created Cleo, a mystery that rapidly attracted attention and kind of forced stunned mathematicians to prove her wrong. In response to Cleo's viral post, Ron Gordon, who provided the proof in this post, started a debate. Are answers that have no explanations useful? Funnily enough, Vladimir also replied. They challenge other users to look for a proof that they might not even try otherwise. So the solution to the mystery was right in front of our eyes, the whole time. At some point, Vladimir felt that Cleo was causing a lot of drama and decided to, in a weird way though, apologize on Cleo's behalf and eventually shut down the account. So, is Vladimir a troll? I have my opinion. What's yours?